All right, men, grab a cup of coffee, a cold beverage, depending on what time of day it is. Have a seat, buckle up, and get ready, because you're not going to believe the one I'm about to show you, because it might just be the most openly anti-male policy proposal that I've ever seen typed with a straight face. Stick around, because this one deserves a full breakdown, a full autopsy, if you will, and yes, a full public shredding. Hey everybody, welcome back to Men Need to Be Heard, the channel where we talk about the things that no one else wants to touch, especially when it comes to the issues that men and boys face in today's society. And as I said, today we got a doozy for you. We're looking at a genuinely unhinged idea. One that was posted by someone with a blue check, someone who has institutional credibility, and apparently absolutely zero awareness of how the laws, the rights, or human beings themselves function. We're going to roll with the receipt, so let's get to it. All right, men, here it is. This is an actual screenshot from the author of what I'm about to talk about, the X account of one Jessica Pinn, who is a self-described woman's health advocate, as well as the president of a medical nonprofit. She's openly involved in shaping what's in medical journals and has been interviewed and published in major platforms such as The Daily Show, The New York Times, and Scientific America. In other words, this isn't some random troll. This is someone with influence, someone who appears to be a policymaker with a substantial platform. And oh yeah, someone with a very real belief that men should be financially punished for, well, being men. Someone who thinks that men shouldn't have the right to make their own decisions, especially when it comes to dating and marriage. No, my friends, she is someone who truly believes that men should not have any say whatsoever, any autonomy over making decisions, but instead should have to face the consequences for not getting married on her timetable. Because that's exactly what she wrote. She starts by saying, yes, men should have to pay extra taxes for being single after age 30. Those taxes can go towards financial incentives for married couples to have children. That solves birth rates. Boom! You're welcome. Now that's bad enough, and let's be honest, what she's objectively advocating for is men over 30 to be enslaved, as in forced to work for the benefit of others, with complete disregard as to whether they want to or not. So much for bodily autonomy, so much for freedom, right? But it gets even worse. She goes on to say, the reason men specifically need to be taxed extra, especially above a certain tax bracket, is to eliminate the more money, more bitches incentive for success. Ideally, a man's incentive for success, and this is key, should come from providing for his family. It's best if men just settle down to avoid men wasting women's reproductive years. Alternatively, maybe you can get out of the single tax if you happen to be in a newly registered relationship for less than 2 years. That gets all the relationships registered so that people cannot cheat without the side pieces knowing. Men, all I can say is, you saw it yourself. This is an actual quote posted on her X account. This isn't satire. It's not parody. It's not a joke. It's not a troll. This is her very real policy idea. A proposal, if you will. Posted proudly by someone who genuinely thinks this is feminist problem solving. She is openly stating she does not view men as human beings, but, quote unquote, providers. Providers for women. Providers within married couples. And if they aren't willing to submit to that, they must be punished. Look, she's never going to admit it, but it's obvious that she believes men are property who exist solely to benefit women and society. She believes that they should be forced to work without freedom or pay, as in having their pay taken away from them via taxes, under the threat of violence or punishment if they fail to do so. My friends, that is the literal definition of slavery. And no, this isn't a joke. Even though she's trying to put a pretty little bow on it by attaching a little smiley face at the end. Imagine, if you will, if a man said the same thing. Imagine if a man said, if a woman isn't married and hasn't produced a child by 30, then she should be forced to pay until she does. The world would lose its mind, and rightfully so. But what was the response from her fellow females? Damn near 100% support. Disgusting, to say the least. But it shows you truly how far women have fallen. And we're going to dive in a bit more to really show what's going on here. What she's actually promoting is state control over human rights. In other words, Marxism. First of all, anytime someone says we can fix society if we punish men financially, you should immediately hear the theme music from every dystopian movie ever made. Let's be very, very clear here. This is not pro-family. It's not pro-baby. I'd argue it's not even pro-woman. What it is pro-control. Because when you peel back the flowery language and the you go girl, this is basically saying to men, you'll get married when we decide. Or we'll take more of your money, more of your paycheck. A lot more, until you do. If a government needs to financially bully men into marriage to treat them like slaves, you do not have a birth rate problem. You have a culture problem. And newsflash, men didn't create that culture. But men have reacted to it. Because what this really is a reaction to men walking away. Going MGTOW, if you will. Because women have become so toxic, so insane with their beliefs, as evidenced by Ms. Pin's proposal, that men have said, we're done. We're not going to be your slaves, ladies. We're not going to put up with your insane demands, expectations, nonsense, and beliefs. And because women in general don't believe men should have rights, any rights, shouldn't have any bodily autonomy, and aren't entitled to any thoughts, feelings, emotions, or, God forbid, the ability to express them, this is the result. And rather than acknowledge that it's female toxicity, as displayed in this very tweet that is driving men away, they're seeking to enslave them. This is yet another in a very long list of very real reasons why men are walking away. Because men aren't avoiding marriage because they want more bitches. Men are avoiding marriage because modern marriage has become legally dangerous to them. Family court is a minefield. False allegations are literally destroying millions of men's lives every single year. Divorce laws punish men, punish providers. Child support has been weaponized. Paternity fraud is completely ignored. And fatherhood is mocked. One bad accusation can take a man from homeowner and father to homeless and destitute in mere minutes, without him even knowing or having the chance to defend himself, far faster than any tax penalty ever could. Men aren't afraid of commitment. They're afraid of losing everything, up to and including their freedom and their lives, because they've watched it happen again and again and again, because they've experienced it themselves again and again and again. But as dear old Jessica is showing, instead of addressing that, instead of fixing any of that, her only solution is to tax single men. She wants to punish them for daring not to sign up to be destroyed, not to sign up to be used and treated like garbage, and tossed aside like garbage when that usefulness has run out. In her mind, the problem is that men have too much freedom, too much money, too much autonomy. She wants it taken away, all taken away. And given to women. Well, sweetheart, here's a little clue for you. The problem isn't men, it's you, especially women like you. The problem is the system that supports and condones your outright hatred, your misandry, your viewpoints. It's not the men who refuse to walk into that trap. Now we'll go a step further into her little Marxist-fascist idea, otherwise known as her relationship registry, because that's a level of governmental overreach that would make Orwell blush. Imagine needing to file government paperwork, not to get married, which is something they shouldn't be doing anyway, but simply just to date someone. Imagine every casual relationship, every friendship, every hookup, every breakup, every fling, every we're talking, but it's not serious yet, having to be logged into a federal database and then tightly controlled by the government. Simply so, as she put it, side pieces can check your relationship status. Child, please. This isn't policy, it's surveillance, it's micromanagement. It is the dating version of the TSA. This is what happens when people start thinking in slogans, or should I say, stop thinking. When they put politics, especially woke, radical, left-wing politics, over people. When they say that power is more important than principle, force over fairness, and radicalism over reality. And here's the real ugly truth buried underneath this entire post. It's not about birth rates. It's not about families. It's not about long-term societal health. What it is about is blaming men. Blaming men for women's failures, for women's dating dissatisfaction. Blaming men for women's declining fertility choices. And of course, for women realizing that forever boyfriend culture isn't so much fun after age 32. I mean, what's next? Is she going to advocate for men being strapped down and milked for their sperm? Oh, wait. Let me take that one back quick before she gets any ideas. In the end, what this is really about is helping women to avoid taking responsibility. It's about projection instead of accountability. It's about punishing the men for women's bad behavior and personal choices. Instead of addressing the culture that made men walk away, we're going to get taxes. Instead of fixing the system, we get financial threats, not to mention moral lectures, and dystopian policy fantasies dressed up as solutions. And that right there is why proposals like this will never fix a damn thing. Because you cannot build families by demonizing fathers. You can't promote marriage by threatening men. And you cannot raise birth rates by punishing the very group you need to create the babies. This proposal is no joke. She means every single word of it. And as I showed at the beginning, she's in a position that just might enable her to get it put into place. So let's be crystal clear here. Men are not the problem. Men are not the enemy. And men are not the reason birth rates have collapsed. Thus, men sure as hell shouldn't be the ones punished, shouldn't be the ones taxed, shouldn't be punished for not participating in a system that is openly, knowingly, and actively hostile to them. If society wants men to come back to the table, you need fairness, you need respect, you need reciprocity, and an actual effort towards legal reform. Not punitive taxes, not government-registered dating, and most definitely not policy ideas from hate-filled radical misandrists, pulled straight out of their feminist fever wet dreams. Men, you need to speak up, you need to push back, and don't let these ideas go unchallenged. Because once you normalize tax more men because we feel like it, you're going to allow them to open the door to every other anti-male policy imaginable. And believe me, this one is only scratching the surface of what they really want to do. All right, man, let me know what you think of this proposal. And if there's any ladies still watching, and I'm going to bet there's not a whole hell of a lot of them, tell me, why are you staying silent? Why aren't you calling this out? Why are you so willing to have your fathers, brothers, uncles, and sons put into slavery, forced to submit to any and every woman for her benefit. Not theirs, hers. Ladies, you can't claim you love or care about any man while sitting idly by as these proposals are put forth. All right, if you're tired of sugar-coated crap like this and you want real talk for men, hit that subscribe button and stay locked in. Join me and thousands of other men in the fight, because we're just getting started, my friends.